what is almost 3/4 of the way through day one of this Battle of the Brits. And we're all square. And your reminder is the first to 60 points here, the points accumulation. There will be certainly more on the matches throughout the day and throughout the week as the value of each match increases. But so far, there is nothing to split the two. The Union Jacks 3, the British Bulldogs 3 here. Still to come for us on the opening day of action, we have Katie Boulter up against Emma Raducanu. Should be really good. Emma Raducanu, very highly rated, has had a couple of injury problems herself to deal with. Katie Boulter winning the Progress Tour event 2 weeks ago. And then it's Jamie Murray and Heather Watson. They'll take on the Australian Open champion Jo Salisbury and Harriet Dart. Do stay with us, and still to come.
Well, it's been a dramatic day so far at the Battle of the Brits team tennis, and we suspect that there is much more to come. This one next up on centre court could prove extremely engaging. A clash between one of the more familiar British names of recent times in the Union Jacks' Katie Boulter and one of the UK's brightest rising stars in this young girl, Emma Raducanu of the British Bulldogs, just 17 years old. 1 point on offer for the winner of this clash, and it's currently all square. Each team, the Union Jacks and British Bulldogs, 3 points apiece. I'm Abigail Johnson, and I'm joined by Naomi Cavaday to take you through this clash of players with a pretty similar technique and game style, and a similar ranking as well, but it doesn't fairly reflect where either of them are at, because Katie Boulter's been out with injury for a long time in the past few months, really, and Emma Raducanu very much on her way up.
Yeah, absolutely. For Emma, she's had some focus on school, and so her game has been developing. Still quite young as well. I think that her level of play is above that. She's won a 25k, which would kind of just put you maybe in the 200s rather than 300s. And of course, for Katie, she's been up as high as 83, and that serious back injury she picked up last year in Fed Cup. She was out for a long time, but got that sorted, was just getting things going again before lockdown came in. But, you know, it seems like she's kind of ready to go.
You would think so, yeah. She did enter a couple of WTA events with a protected ranking just before lockdown, and seems in decent form now, which we'll go into more in a little bit when we've had the coin toss. So Emma Raducanu straight off the bat opts to serve, and the 3-minute warm-up begins here. Midway through the day here at the Battle of the Brits team tennis event. The players have been getting really into it so far. Great energy. Indoors, we've been forced by the rain. A little bit brighter now, but we'll be finishing off play for the day indoors, and 1 singles point on offer here for Katie Boulter and Emma Raducanu. Confirmation that we're all level at the moment. That's just the way we like it. 3-all, everything to play for. And as we continue into the week here, the points on offer will increase over the next few days. So here they warm up for a match that I'm sure a lot of people are highly anticipating. Katie Boulter very much a fan favourite, and Emma Raducanu on many people's radars. So here is Katie Boulter from Leicester. 23 years old. It's actually her birthday on Saturday, so she'll be celebrating it here. Not a bad place with all her British tennis friends. Worse places to be. You can see the ranking there, 374. Not an accurate representation of her level and her form at the moment. She's got a career high ranking of number 82, which was achieved in February last year, shortly before the stress fracture in her back, which forced her off the circuit for a number of months. That's an injury that she picked up at the Fed Cup. Sporting idol Usain Bolt. Maybe she's not quite as fast, but she does have a little bit of a sprint on her. Proudest achievement being in vogue. Do we think so? Maybe.
It's quite an achievement.
Proudest achievement outside of tennis, we should confirm. Jam on cream on the scones. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. You've got to put the cream on the jam.
Cream on the jam.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I actually just don't eat a lot of scones. I don't have a preference.
Fair enough. Fair enough. One less thing to worry about in life. So that's Katie Boulter, who would be the favourite for many to come through this one, but Raducanu looking to give her a run for her money. And both of them are players that have performed well here at NTC in recent weeks. Emma Raducanu won the first week of the British Tour, beating Jodie Burridge in the final, who took down Jo Konta earlier today. And Katie Boulter won the Progress Tour Women's Championships a couple of weeks ago. Just 17, Raducanu. She was a known name for some when she was 15 and won back-to-back W15 titles at ITF level. And she's been making steady progress since then. Ranking of number 338 is just a little way off her career high, which was achieved in March. So for both of these players, coronavirus didn't hit at a great time because they were making progress and moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult for I don't think it's ideal for anyone, is it really? I mean, for Emma, she has been able to focus on her studies because she's got that going alongside tennis, so it's been nice to catch up on schoolwork. And I was having a chat with her earlier. She was assuring me that is all she did. She had no time for anything else. She just had to catch up on her schoolwork with the 9 weeks that we were unable to play for. And other than that, really keeping her fitness up in tip-top shape, because she didn't want to have any sort of rest and let that slip at all. So she has been working as hard as she can within the restrictions.
Yeah, I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago. She said she's been more busy since lockdown than before, which shows a lot about her work ethic and the way she manages to use her time. So good for Emma Raducanu. Head to head. So Boulter notched up the only previous win.
2 tiebreak sets, 10-point match tiebreak. We played 1 set all. To the left of the chair, Katie Boulter for Union Jacks. To the right of the chair, Emma Raducanu, British Bulldogs. Raducanu won the toss and elected to serve.
Anastasia Kosheleva there, just going through the format, which is pretty important. It's best of 3 sets with a match tiebreak in place of a full 3rd set, and that can have a real difference mentally for the player that's dropped the first set when it comes to looking to climb back up that mountain, right?
And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, all of these players are keen to get out on court, compete, just start getting their match practice going again. And Boulter's been out at the Progress Tour, so she's had some matches. But when she started, there was a little bit of rust. Took her a while to get going. And of course, the same for everyone, really. And Raducanu has had plenty of matches under her belt as well, playing in the British Tour. The last time they played out in India, Emma actually had to withdraw in that 2nd set. She was a set down, but that was because of food poisoning. It kind of wiped her out for that time. And then she bounced back and won the tournament the following week.
That's always a great way to rebound. Well, you can see Greg Rusedski there by Katie Boulter, one of the team captains for the Union Jacks. The other is Judy Murray, who has the pleasure of both of her sons on her team. We've been discussing this one. Would it have been better to split the Murrays up, or is it better to keep the family peace?
I think to keep the family peace, maybe. I think they compete against each other an awful lot. But I have a feeling, I need to double check all the matches so far, but I don't think Greg's managed to get a point on the board yet in terms of his captaining matches. Yeah, he might need to tag Judy in.
Wow, okay, well that's something to keep an eye on. Here we go then. Emma Raducanu was very quick to elect to serve, and she'll be getting us underway shortly.
First set. Emma Raducanu, representing British Bulldogs, to serve. Play. Love.
Already a taste of what's to come there. Emma Raducanu very big with the first shot behind her serve.
A good movement forward there from Boulter, chasing that down well. The movement really is something that has improved dramatically, I think, over the past couple of years. She's very tall, long levers. It is still an area that you can maybe catch her out on. That's why Raducanu looking for the drop shot so early, but it's going to need to be a bit better than that.
Flashes of Usain Bolt.
40-15.
Well, it's key to have that serve firing early to get herself into the groove and utilise this advantage that she chose of serving first.
Game. Raducanu.
Well, back-to-back aces out wide.
First game.
Worst ways to start a match.
You can have a
nice confident start for Raducanu. Just checking the rules. Not allowed to sit down. No changing of ends, but she's allowed some water, which I think is maybe fair enough.
Yeah, they're trying to keep this fast-paced. I believe it's 60 seconds at changeovers. And nice start to get Emma Raducanu going here. What I was interested in is because these two are so similar in game styles, if Raducanu is forced to be on the first few shots of a rally and Boulter's dictating what she's going to do. But I think even just in that previous game with her throwing in the drop shot, she's showing the variety she's capable of.
Yeah, she has a little more variety than Boulter has, I think, in general, although Boulter's not necessarily afraid of it, but pulling her forward, definitely a good tactic. That's something that she's been working on a lot with new coach Mark Pecci, the variety in the game, trying to develop a couple of those extra dimensions. It really depends. When the rally goes on long, as you're saying, Abby, it depends what the situation is. If it's very central hitting, then I'd be backing Boulter with that strike, because we just saw there dictating from the central third of the court and pushing Raducanu into the corners. But if it's in a more neutral position and the rally's going on and they're both doing a lot of running, well, Raducanu possesses maybe a little bit better with the movement, a little bit more mobile around the court, so she might be able to capitalise there. Both of these players like to get a big shot in nice and early. They're not going to be looking for extended rallies. They really want to dictate. We're on a quicker surface here inside. No conditions to fight with either, just the opponent.
Absolutely. One of Boulter's previous forehands just hanging off the edge of the sideline.
30-15.
Yeah, in position for that return and just ripped through it. Going to be seeing much more of that.
Let. First service.
See, that's where the difference in level just comes in, the experience of Boulter. So Raducanu, assuming she was going to get a short ball off that because it was a cracking forehand, nice and deep, thought she'd got Boulter on the back foot, and you could see her up to the baseline, leaning in, thinking, right, here we go. But Boulter got it back deep and totally caught her out. Sometimes when you're playing up the levels, it just takes that extra couple of balls to get what you want.
Game.
Well,
Boulter.
Raducanu's best efforts to retrieve weren't going to be enough there once
First set.
Boulter was dictating. And she doesn't hold back, does she? She aims for those lines.
Yeah, she's got weapons all over the place. Boulter, the serve is really excellent. That was something actually in the Progress Tour a couple of weeks ago. Right from the beginning, the serve was looking pretty good, particularly the T serve. Done an awful lot of that through lockdown.
Team love.
Well, just starting her second service game, and that's her third ace. I think that's 3 in a row, actually, because she closed the last game with back-to-back aces. So this is exactly the sort of hot start she wants.
All.
Whistling that forehand cross court.
30-15.
Yeah, nice striking there from Raducanu, just keeping it in that corner, peppering it, and you could just feel each strike she got in. Boulter was just under a little bit more pressure each time, just slightly more off balance, slightly more behind with the contact point before getting the error.
All.
She drills that return with real depth, Katie Boulter. And both of these two, the moment they see an opportunity, they're going to be on top of that ball and looking to assume the position of dictator.
Well,
you can't underestimate how reassuring it is to have that big serve to get you cheap points early in a match where, you know, Raducanu has been in the spotlight, and she'll know that there are a lot of expectations for her, but she's looking extremely settled out here.
Game. Radantu. Raducanu leads 2-1, first set.
Well, there we go. 2-1 for Raducanu. She maintains the lead, and while this match has been starting, Heather Watson has been notching up a win on the other court. So the confirmation there, the win for Watson, which did not come easy from what I saw, nudges the Union Jacks back out in front. Beth Gray has played a lot of great tennis recently and really made Watson work for that one.
Yeah, a bit of a nervy match, I think, from Watson. She did start to settle once she got that first set under her belt, but she hasn't played any matches. This is her first time out, and as you mentioned, Beth really has been kind of getting as much under her belt as she possibly can, playing anywhere and everywhere.
Emma, would you please call? Otherwise it's difficult to understand whether you call it or not.
Because we're indoors here, no Hawkeye. So back to junior days, the players calling their own lines and the umpire just telling Raducanu to be a little bit clearer when she's calling those lines.
Love.
Yeah, players have a habit of just pointing or just assuming, especially if they feel like, oh, it's actually quite far out, everybody knows it's out, maybe just don't say anything at all. Umpires, of course, don't like that.
No.
They like it to be clear, loud, after every single shot.
Well, they have a job to do as well. Well, I was just about to comment on how big some of Katie Boulter's second serves have been, and that might just be why she double faulted there. She's not holding back too much on them.
Yeah, I think she's got to nail them, really. She's got to get good depth and really good height off of the bounce, because if it's in Raducanu's slot, it's just going to get thumped away. I mean, it's the same vice versa as well. They both have that as a concern. You just can't be just rolling in a second serve into the slot.
Terrific wrong footer.
40-15.
And made so easy by the, once again, the potency on the serve.
Game. Boulter.
Pierces the sideline. Yes, again, that serve really swung out wide. And it's pretty simple tactics for these two today, right? For the time being.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to watch how it develops. They've got to really pay attention to the other player to see if anything's just slightly off, because with big hitters come unforced errors. They both have to manage that. It was something that Boulter was managing through the Progress Tour. They were just consistently hanging around, just a couple every single game was putting her under some pressure. She dealt with it very well. The response was great. And it's not really a negative, because she hasn't played any matches for ages. So, I mean, it's fair enough. You're going to miss the court sometimes.
Yeah, I recall Katie wasn't too convinced by either her semi-final or her final win in terms of her own physical game, but that's where it shows the depth that she's capable of, because her mentality really saw her through. She committed and believed even when her game wasn't always backing her up.
Yeah, she was right up against it in the final against Jodie Burrage. I mean, Burrage was in fact serving for the match in that second set.
Or did you call it out? Oh, sorry. Okay, then she called it out.
This is why you got to be clear with the calls.
Maybe you can be a bit clearer, both of you girls, because it's difficult to... No, because I thought that she didn't say anything, that's why. It's only... No, it's not overruling. I just didn't notice she called it, that's all.
Confirming it's not an overrule because it was Katie's call that she just didn't hear in the first place.
Yeah, well, Katie said at the beginning, she asked the umpire, if I let one go, are you going to call it if it's clear? So just a little bit of confusion.
Well, that's a decent way to respond from Emma Raducanu. Ace number 5. Well, players seem to go one of two ways after a line call that goes against them. Either they completely malfunction or they take that emotion and they completely channel it into their shots. And the way that Raducanu has responded from that little moment, just regrouping and getting straight back to business, I think says a lot about where her mental state is at. Not the tallest girl in the game at all, but that serve is really firing.
3 games to 2. First set.
We're going with serve, but Emma Raducanu looking very much comfortable.
Yeah, smiles for Raducanu. They're allowed to sit down now after 5 games. A little chat with Leon. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to be tapping into his wisdom in this particular match.
Yeah, it's a unique situation to have that advice at each changeover as opposed to on the main tour once a set.
Yeah, I wonder whether Leon and Anne as captains might switch over soon, because Anne was of course on court with Heather, who we just saw finished up her match. And I know that with Raducanu being, she's been on the Fed Cup team, but she hasn't actually played with Anne on her bench. Just seems like a perfect opportunity, right? To get Anne out there on the bench, start getting used to those sorts of things. And Emma was expecting Anne to be there, but of course, just the way the matches overlap, that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for everyone to be back in that team environment.
Yep, so we've had one change with Judy coming on, and as I suspected, a little switch over there.
Predictive powers, Naomi. Well, speaking of Fed Cup, it's Katie Boulter that knows all about performing under pressure for a team, because it was her heroism that got the British team through last year in a really close encounter where she beat Zarina Diaz 6-7, 6-4, 6-1 after a crushing loss to Yulia Putintseva when they faced Kazakhstan. And I think she was in bits after that loss to Putintseva. It was really close. She had her chances, maybe didn't let it show publicly, but behind the scenes. So to come out, you know, with the expectations of a nation and the rest of her team on her shoulders and get that win over Diaz was absolutely huge.
Emma holding her own in the central battle, both thumping it from the back of the court. It's a super return there from Raducanu. It's a slightly difficult one to play. It's a little bit off the hip and going into the cross court there. Not the easiest, but she guided it nicely.
Incredible depth. And this is a half chance at love 30.
Love 14.
Good to see her moving up that court behind the depth and imposing herself.
Yeah, I'm sure Petch, if he's watching somewhere, I'm told he's on holiday, so he shouldn't be watching, but knowing Petch, he might well be. He'll be pleased to see that. She really does have the potential to have an all-round game.
Once again, she gets it so deep that Katie Boulter struggles to contend.
4 games to 2, first set.
Well, that's what will happen to Boulter if she just backs off on that second serve. It was just dropping a little bit shorter, and you could see how far Emma really leapt up the court. It was a big step to try and get onto it. Used all the body momentum, the weight through the back of the ball to get the pace.
Love.
Now, I wonder if Raducanu will be aware of the Heather Watson result that happened a couple of courts over and know that the British Bulldogs are now 1 point down. How aware are you in the middle of a match of what's going on elsewhere?
Yeah, she'll know. Definitely. In a team event, you want to know.
Love.
Oh, swinging all the momentum through the backhand. She was so quickly over to that response from Boulter.
Yeah, I love that shot from Raducanu. She's moving backwards on the V because it was a good return from Boulter, so she's under a little bit of pressure, but the way that she can actually play through the shot, she kept her momentum going, something that actually Cibulkova's always done really well on the WTA Tour. She's a smaller player, she's down very low, and she's able to move backwards on the V without looking like she's under pressure. With a lot of players, once you get them moving backwards on the V, you think, okay, they're in trouble here. They start to lose the balance, maybe they're a bit too upright. Raducanu, excellent technique off that backhand.
Just not quite enough brush up on the back of the ball on that occasion. She's done really well behind the serve, getting right down for the follow-up backhand.
Raducanu.
Well, she's been really going after that wide serve.
Raducanu leads 5-2, first set.
And putting a second serve there, so you can understand Boulter's frustration, because she'd got her teeth nicely into that one, and it was an unforced error on her part.
Yeah, she's feeling the pressure, and I'm sure she would have been a little bit concerned about this matchup. She has hit with Raducanu before. I mean, they've played. Okay, they didn't complete the match in the end, with Emma having to withdraw after that first set, but I think everybody knows that there is a lot of hope and expectation around the Raducanu game. I mean, it's a great game. She's got lots of weapons. She's got lots of ability. She can really soak up some aggression from the far end of the court as well. There's a huge amount to work with, just 17 years old. But now it's all about piecing it together. It's all about how you use it, when you use it, the discipline on the big points, when it starts coming down to those moments. That's a journey that Boulter's already done. She's already completed that to get to the top 100. It might be somewhere she is able to catch Raducanu out in this match if she can keep it close. But if Raducanu keeps running away with this, then it's going to be difficult to turn it around.
Well, it's interesting. I remember on the fun little stats at the beginning, Simona Halep was listed as tennis idol for Emma Raducanu, but I've heard her say many times Ana Ivanovic, and you can see the similarities in the game style. I think it's quite evident that that's probably a player she grew up watching a lot.
Yeah, well, when she was young, she always used to say to me, Leonard, of course.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever we were on court together, she was just, absolutely, that was her idol. She loved Leonard. Maybe that was when she was a little bit younger. There are plenty to choose from on the WTA Tour. That's all I can say.
Terrific backhand to Leonard, much missed. Well, some tight moments for Katie Boulter. We're seeing a few more second serves, but Emma Raducanu can sense the finish line here, I think, in this set. Quite the opposite, stepping inside that baseline and driving with force. Well, back-to-back huge first deliveries, which are very much needed.
Raducanu leads 5-3, first set.
She'd set herself up well with the return to the feet, but Boulter taking the balls on the sweet spot and forcing Raducanu to go for more. Now that was a key game, because if Raducanu serves this out, Boulter at least is serving first to start the second set.
Yeah, and Boulter, she's deceptively competitive and tough when she's down. We saw that in the Progress Tour. And I say deceptively because a player with her sort of game style typically isn't necessarily like that. The big strikers can tend to kind of go away a little bit when things aren't quite going their way, because you start making a lot of unforced errors, you start feeling bad about yourself, but she's really good at digging her heels in. And I think also because she's relatively quiet on court. Okay, we saw a lot of feistiness at Fed Cup, but that Copper Box Arena was an incredible atmosphere. I was so fortunate to be there. It It was just so good to watch her play like that. But you're not going to get a major outburst from Boulter on the court. She's very together. She's relatively positive. She can get hard on herself, but you know, she's pretty steady.
$15-all.
Just a handful too many of those at the moment. Forehands and backhands into the net when she's in a decent position.
Let first serve.
And this is good from Boulter. Got that ball exactly where she wanted it. Stepped around to take it on the forehands and didn't hesitate to go for the depth.
Yeah, pushed Raducanu back there, and on the forehand side, not as comfortable as the backhand side. She lifted the chest up, lifted the head up, and actually jumped, and all of that lifted the ball out the back of the court.
Well, a shorter return there, but Raducanu with quite a flat backhand there that just didn't have the height to creep over. Here's a chance. Two of them, in fact. It's just long.
Game, Boulter.
And as many aces as
Raducanu leads 5-4
has hit in this match so far. I think her first serve percentage has gone right down, and she was made to pay on that occasion.
Yeah, it has actually been down pretty much all the way through. It's just been very effective. She's been really going for it, as you mentioned, lots of aces and lots of unreturnables in there. So kind of, we haven't really seen the fact that that percentage has been down low, but it will catch up with her if she just keeps getting those second serves in for Boulter to have a look at. So she needs to try and find the balance there.
6 free points on her serve so far. Now, what does Raducanu do here? That's got to be quite frustrating. She's had her nose out in front. She's been holding pretty calmly so far. Does she just view this as an opportunity to swing, try and break through?
I think she always views it as an opportunity to swing. I mean, absolutely, she'll be trying to stick to the game plan, stick to what she's trying to do. I did try and ask her, because I was just chatting to her over lunch, and I said, what are your tactics against Boulter? Because I thought that would help me out with my commentary, so I could pretend to predict everything that was going to happen. But she said she's absolutely not telling me. So she seemed to have something on the books, though.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's a case of I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure that wasn't the case in her situation. Just keeping it firmly under wraps.
Last 15.
Well, that just shows that the pressure is still well and truly there.
away with that point, Emma, but there was one moment there where she really launched through a forehand cross court, and she again was expecting the short ball. That was just before she almost slipped on the court, lost her balance because she just wasn't expecting Boulter to make such a good connection with it. So I think if she could just adjust that in terms of a mindset, just always expecting the best possible shot to come back from Boulter, she won't get caught out so much. I mean, she did well to recover from it.
Well, that is an extremely key point to win. Boulter down at 38% of second serve points won. And the shake of the head from Raducanu there. She knows that's an opportunity missed. Would have loved to have a shot at 3 straight set points. Give herself a bit of room to breathe.
Yeah, and that number just shows that she's not quite neutralising things when it comes to the second serve. Points won. If you're looking at 50-50, you're doing all right, especially playing at such a big hitter like Raducanu, so that's where the aim would be. Because at least if it's 50-50, you're starting off neutral. You're not necessarily getting on top of the point, and the point could go either way. If you can edge it above there, then you'll be feeling pretty good.
Oh, that's great stuff from Emma Raducanu. Up on the baseline, digging deep to the feet of Boulter.
40.
And following through with a brilliantly flat stroke. She can sense a moment here. 2 set points. There we go.
Game. So a small one. And first set, Raducanu by 6 games to 4.
Well, it was terrific anticipation at the beginning of that rally from Raducanu. Was running as Boulter was lining up to get underneath the forehand. And she held firm to the end. Couldn't serve it out, but breaks for it instead, which might even be better for her heading into the second set. Once again, she will be serving first. What do you make of that set, Naomi?
Yeah, a really strong set from Raducanu, looking confident, looking like she's really getting on top of the point. She's suffocating Boulter a little bit for time. Possibly she's played a few more matches than Boulter has managed recently. And if we just take a little look at the numbers there, you can see that Raducanu doing pretty well in all areas, except for the first serve percentage. It is down low, but you can see it's being very effective. So she is getting quite a lot on the board, those 5 aces there as well. But I think she does need to address that, because if Boulter just keeps getting a look at that strike on the second serve, she's going to start finding something at some point. She's a very experienced player. I imagine that she's going to come back in the second set a level up, maybe 2. And I think Raducanu is going to have to really work hard to stay with her.
Well, this is certainly far from over. It's a best of 3 sets match, and the third set is a 10-point match tiebreak, so this could very much still go either way. But Raducanu locking in to get that break to edge the first set.
Second set, Raducanu to serve. Love 15.
Well, that first point
Love 30.
of the service game is so important, right, just for the mentality. And when Boulter got that one on the board, really unleashed for the Love 30 lead.
Yeah, this is what I would expect from Boulter. Really good response. We saw this all the way through the Progress Tour. She faced challenges in her own game. She faced challenges at the other end of the court, challenges with the conditions as well.
15,
And I think
30.
that, for me, that was my favourite thing about that week. It was all business for her. She really knuckled down. Nothing phased her at all.
Smart use of the body serve there from Raducanu, just to take the angle away from Boulter, because we know what both of these two are capable of when they can rip into an angle, when they have that positioning around the ball. Well, that lead quickly evaporated. A little bit too much depth from Raducanu for Boulter to handle on that occasion. You could see her wanting to attack, but not having the positioning on the baseline to do so, which is why she ended up hooking that one wide. Oh, great short choice. Brilliant placement.
First game, second set.
And with her positioning around that ball in the forecourt, she really could have gone in any direction and taken Boulter by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see just her natural ability at reading the game. She understands point construction really well. She can play in all sections of the court. Really trust her to make those shots.
Now we can already see out here why these two are highly regarded prospects of the British game. Both of them are on the LTA's Pro Scholarship Programme, the highest level of support offered to developing players by the LTA, offered to players aged between 16 and 24. So these two are opposite ends of that spectrum, with the best chance of reaching the top 100 in singles within 5 years. Boulter's already been there, and Raducanu could well be on her way.
Fifteen love.
Free point again. And all the noise you can hear on the background is for the men's doubles clash going on the adjacent court. 2 points on offer for that particular clash.
40 love.
Oh, just finding a range now.
Yeah, getting that serve popping. It really is such a joy to watch when she's in that groove on the serve. Just rolls through it, looks so effortless.
huge from Raducanu.
40-15.
Big from her, facing equally potent ground strokes to continue to step up and go for her marks. A little bit loose. One of those points that doesn't look so significant at the time, but if the following one doesn't go your way, things can completely turn. So big point here for Katie Boulter. And she leapt on it.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is what we did see actually at the Progress Tour from Boulter, and as much as her game really improved as she went through the week, the unforced errors were just pretty consistently hanging around. They didn't necessarily come in big flurries. She wasn't missing 3 or 4 in a row, but it was just always kind of every second or third point. It was just hanging around for her. She just couldn't quite shake them.
The mere positioning of Raducanu on the court to take these second serves is making a statement.
Advantage Raducanu.
Stood inside that baseline.
The way that she just lent through that forehand, getting as much pace as possible.
Great rotation into her shots. Well balanced at the net. And from game points down, it's the chance to take a set and a break lead. Oh, come on.
Raducanu.
What a return. Clean up the line.
Raducanu leads 2 games to love.
Just growing in confidence. And it's looking very dangerous for Boulter. She just hasn't been able to wrestle this one back under her control. She's the more experienced player. She's had the higher ranking. But he really has yet to make her mark.
That was well taken by Boulter, scooped up from below the height of the net
15.
and catching Raducanu stranded in the middle of that court. Scooped from underneath. Well, she tries for one of her own.
15 all.
Fractionally wide. And that's the way it is with power players. You have to accept that the hits and the misses are going to come and you've got to take them all in your stride. Well, it wasn't a first serve, but she
30-15.
played it like it was one. And that has been key, I think, for Emma Raducanu. She was down at 38% of first serves, but has got that up to 72, which is quite the leap.
I lost control of that slice. I think Emma thought her serve might have been a bit long. She hesitated off the back of it.
Right on the baseline. With the players calling their own lines, it's difficult to tell which way some of these have gone, but...
Did you call it out again? You have to be more clear.
So Boulter's calling it long. So much confusion in this one.
What's first serve? Let.
Such a difference. Thought she was game points up, now break point down. And yet she responds in exactly the same way she's responded all the way through this match.
Yes.
Yeah, Boulter just not quite keeping her head over the ball on that return. Again, just kind of lifting the chest, jumping up through it. Just got away from her out the back of the court.
And that tendency to rush, does that come from being down on the scoreboard?
Can do. Super shot from Emma there, just leaning through that forehand. Could have gone in any direction. And you could see Boulter knew it. She'd kind of given up on that point. It was a straightforward finish for Raducanu. But yeah, in terms of rushing between points, between shots, that mainly just comes from nerves. Whatever makes you nervous, whether you're up. Some people it's up when they're down.
True.
When it's tight.
Stepping in for that.
Raducanu.
Just love that. Just such confidence behind the serve.
Second set.
Shuffling up to take that short ball. She really hasn't let Boulter get away with much at all. Okay, a couple of times she's maybe gone a little too far, a little too early to the shorter ball. But on the whole, she's been on them every single time, and you would much rather get caught out looking for the short ball a bit too often than be hanging back and allow your opponent to drop the ball short and not take advantage of it that way. Because really, how many times does any player hit it, you know, a foot or within half a metre of the baseline? It's quite rare, and if they do manage to do that once you go up the court, then you kind of say, okay, well, too good.
Yeah, she plays with a match on her racket, Raducanu, and I just wonder, when she's no longer the underdog, and she's made some strides, and she's a player that people are looking at more as one that's expected to get the wins, how easy is it going to be for her to keep going for those short point wins, to keep looking for the winner straight off the return, etc., like we see her doing now? Is that going to get more difficult as she has more expectation placed upon her?
Well, this is where her development over the next year is going to be really crucial, because it's one thing just moving up the rankings, getting the wins, but you need to look long term. You have to have something to rely on. If your game is based purely off confidence, well, confidence comes and goes. It's unreliable, and it's great when everything's rolling, but then it can all fall apart, and it can be incredibly difficult to get yourself back on track. So you need to manage that risk, and to spot a confidence player, that's somebody who just takes a lot of risks, goes down the line all the time, is on the baseline, inside the baseline. Could maybe say that Konta had that a little bit the first time she burst through on the scene. It's going to be about those days when you're not feeling good, when things aren't going your way, when it all feels a bit clunky and you just can't quite get out on court what you want to. That's what it comes down to when you're climbing up the rankings. You look at somebody like Boulter and her run to get to the top 100, the amount of matches you need to win, the volume. It's the same on both the men's and women's tour when it comes to that. You need to win an awful lot of matches in 12 months. Unless you decide to have a run, qualify and reach the semi-finals of the Slam, then that will take you a lot of the way.
Sure.
Oof. Got a little excited there, but great return again. Yeah, the notion of a breakthrough just
Katie,
isn't really a thing,
foot.
as I say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
I didn't spot that either.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I'm not sure, actually. Okay.
I said that... Oh, no, it did
If
bounce
it
first, yeah.
It touched the ground first, and I don't know.
So if the ball had gone straight into Katie Boulter, however wild that drive volley was, the point would have gone to Emma Raducanu, but I think it's judged that the ball just hit the ground before it hit her toe.
Yes. Good work there from Raducanu, just understanding the positioning on the court and just really punching her way through there in the end. Yeah, I mean, I remember, one of my doubles partners was Sabine Lisicki, so I knew her quite well, so she's a former top 10 player, but when her first breakthrough, she was probably ranked, I don't know exactly her ranking, but around sort of 180. She qualified and reached the last 16 of the Australian Open.
Yeah.
But she was still in qualifying when it came to Roland Garros. So, particularly for British players, when they think about the grass court season, it's very easy for youngsters, somebody like Emma Raducanu, although I'm sure she doesn't fall into this category, but it's very easy for them to think, you know what, I get a good draw, I'm good on the grass, get a few match wins. It doesn't take you as far as you think. The way the points are structured, you need somebody who understands that. You need volume of matches to get there.
And that's more about mentality than physicality.
Yeah, it's about, can you produce when you're not playing at your absolute best? Something we saw from Boulter at Progress Tour.
Yes.
Well, that was a corker of a return.
Well, it was a very cautious second serve, one of the slowest I think we've seen from Boulter in this match so far, and Raducanu telling her, that's not good enough. She's really letting go now. Raducanu doing well off that foot. But that was a good first serve from Boulter there, and she still managed to get it back deep in the middle of the court.
And that's what the position on the scoreboard can do, right? Because she's just easing into it now. She's not really got any concerns. Everything's working for her.
Better from Boulter, upping her level there, taking some control. I don't think she is particularly happy with her level out here.
So important, though, to win a point in that fashion and just bring Raducanu back down to earth a bit, because you could sense Raducanu going into that wonderful kind of zone where you feel like nothing can touch you, just playing her game.
Second serve.
Well, this gets interesting from break point up. Boulter hits a winner, Raducanu misses a return, and it very quickly, because of the pace of this match, turns on its head.
Yeah, this is a really key game here. You know, Raducanu's not home and dry. She is playing somebody like Boulter, who understands the luxury we have in tennis of time, that it's not over until the end. She's very good at understanding that, turning things around. We saw that, of course, in the Fed Cup. You mentioned that match against Zarina Diaz. She was down and really up against it. Did turn things around there really well. Saw it again against Jodie Burrage in the Progress Tour just a couple of weeks ago.
Launched herself into that return.
Yeah, and look, once again, the serve is short. It's definitely there to be struck, but Raducanu's just not missing a beat, really.
Well, she's attacking those second serves with the ferocity of a top 50 player who isn't going to let you get away with anything.
Advantage, Boulter.
First serves are absolutely crucial for Boulter right now, because that second is just not getting it done.
I think she caught that return
Shall
long,
we
did
replay
she?
the point then? Did you? What happened? What happened? All right.
I think there's been enough confusion in
Replay
this
the
match
point.
to counter for every match so far today.
She called it out first, and then she carried on playing. First time we replay the point.
Okay, so Boulter called it long but carried on with the point. More of the same.
Yes.
And these ferocious returns that we're seeing time and time again from Raducanu becoming the norm. I remember the first time I saw Emma Raducanu live. She was at an ITF event in Bolton last year. She was playing Paula Badosa-Gibert, who was the #2 seed, top 130, and she just attacked absolutely everything. And you would have thought Raducanu was a couple hundred spots higher in the rankings of that day.
Yeah, that's her biggest win to date, I think, ranked 130. The first time I saw Emma play, she's about 9.
Advantage.
Probably
Boulter.
wasn't playing quite at this level. It was still very impressive, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure you got in there sooner than most.
Yeah, she's being coached by my brother, so Swan was always around.
Then it continues. A little bit more topspin, a little bit of a different look on that forehand. It just dropped in at the last moment. And the longer this game goes on, you wonder how it might affect Raducanu if she doesn't come out on top.
Advantage, Boulter.
Yeah, speaking of the length of this game, it can really be the thing that gives one player the momentum, whoever comes out on top of it.
Yeah, and if Boulter just manages to nick it, it's only a break. It's not, she's not kind of really streaking ahead.
Game, Boulter.
Yeah, 3-love looks so much bigger than it actually is.
Raducanu leads 3-1.
And it's not 3-love anymore. Boulter
Second
with
set.
what could have been an absolutely crucial hold of serve there as Raducanu fires off at everything. Now this will be an interesting game.
Yeah, it's all about not changing anything, not trying to force. This is the game that she really wants to win, probably more than any other. And that can just put a little bit of tension through the shoulders. That's a bit of a wild shot there from Raducanu, but even set up from the serve, it was quite a central serve into the slot with Boulter, so just showing that she's not opening up like she has been through the match. And as I say, there isn't an awful lot you can do about it. You have to learn to manage it, but you know, if that tension does come, it can be a real challenge.
Yeah, it's telling. So many times she's gone for the wide serve on that side of the court and wasn't willing to attempt that one this time around.
15-all.
Well, right at the beginning of this game, but that was an essential point for Raducanu to win, because Love 30, having lost a 10-minute plus game, that's when it starts to get to you.
Top. 20-15.
Well, she can apologise, but in a game this crucial, I think she'll take everything she can get, Emma Raducanu. The top spin just bouncing that one over.
Yeah, that'll be frustrating for Boulter, because the main thing she's looking to do in this game is put the pressure on, ask the questions, get the ball back in play. Try and make Raducanu earn this game. It is a fairly vital one.
Sure, the net cord didn't make that any easier to deal with.
Game. Raducanu leads 4-1. Second set, or 1-2.
A little bit of help from Katie Boulter there for Raducanu, but she will be likely incredibly pleased with that after the lengthy game where she had opportunities to take the 4-love lead but didn't get across the line. Hold to 15. And impressive from the 17-year-old to just stay in the moment, to keep going about her business. Could have gone very wrong after the opening points of the game. And team captain Anne Keothavong there, surely pleased with what she's seeing.
Yeah, showing pretty good composure so far, Raducanu, but of course that will be tested when it comes towards the back end of this match as it is now. It's only a couple of games away, but can feel quite far if you're feeling a little bit nervous. No signs of nerves really from her.
Sometimes there aren't, as what you were mentioning before. Sometimes there's nerves when you're down, but there also can be nerves when you're up, when you have the advantage and it's on your racket to see if it gets across. On 6-4, 4-1 down, all the pressure in this game on 23-year-old Katie Boulter.
I think that was a little close to the corner than Boulter would have liked.
But it's good to see, you know, still going after her shots and still backing herself even at this position. Yeah, she's not giving herself much margin for error here. Doesn't seem to need it. Ball like a magnet to those lines. Her timing, just using the pace of Raducanu as well.
Just brute forcing through.
40 love.
Really nice there from Boulter. Using the centre of the court as well, so you've got a real thump in, because you can just open up a little more through the middle of the court, so there's no angles really. That's the one she just leant through over the lowest part of the net. You've got a big space, and then look for the width off the back of it.
Game. Boulter. New balls, please. Raducanu leads 4-2.
Well, she kept some of those forehands tremendously well disguised in that game, Katie Boulter. A couple of really good pickups as well, dealing with the pace. A minute and a half to hold that service game. Quite the contrast to the 10-plus minute game that we had only recently. New balls. I have noticed with no ball kids, there's less of this ritual of sorting through your balls until you find the one that's a little bit less fluffy or the one that you want to use. They're a little less picky and choosy now.
They can't be bothered to go and pick up 4 balls and then make a choice because they're spread all over the court. So they just pick up the nearest 2 and then pick the best one of the bunch to go for the first serve with.
Love.
Raducanu's turn to drill that baseline. I'm loving this attitude. Boulter comes out under pressure, fires through a service game, slim margin, and then Raducanu steps up and does the very same thing to open her own game. Boulter throwing in the higher ball there with not a lot of pace on it, just taking the energy away, and that just forces Raducanu to have to create everything herself. There's nothing on the ball to use, nothing to redirect. It was down the middle, it was high, there was no pace, but it wasn't short. If you're up inside the baseline, inside the service line, then it's pretty simple. But
If you're that far back, it's not an easy shot.
$15.30.
First double fault for Raducanu, and it might not be a coincidence that it comes as Boulter's beginning to apply some more pressure. So often in tennis, we see a double fault followed by a huge first serve, or it's the other way around, huge first serve and then a double fault. Usually an ace, actually, ace and double fault back to back.
$30.40.
Well, the first two double faults come in this most crucial of games as we approach the back end of the match. And whichever way this set goes, we are approaching the back end because that 10-point match tiebreak will bring things to a swift and dramatic close if we get there.
Oh, that was an opportunity for Boulter. Right on the racket. I almost think she was maybe concerned about recovering a bit more than completing the strike, because she was on her way back before she'd really finished that shot and didn't commit to it properly.
Yeah, of course, and that's why they've got to practice their serves and their returns so much, because without those shots, there's no rally, there's no opportunity. You've got to play it as if it's the only shot that you're going to play. That's huge from the teenager.
Advantage, Raducanu.
Glued inside the baseline.
Yeah, relentless hitting and staying down so low on that forehand. You can see how she just whipped it up above her head to hook it out wide.
Raducanu.
Well, frustration again for Katie Boulter.
5-2, second set, 1 set to love.
Two double faults in there that gave Boulter a glimmer of hope, but got to say that backhand return into the net was a real opportunity missed for the player that has been higher ranked and has much more experience on this court.
Yeah, there was a couple, weren't there? Emma kept kicking it into that backhand side for Boulter, and she just couldn't quite get the strike that she would normally expect. And there's Mr. Miles McLagan, looking very comfortable. I'm sure he is talking to his charge, Harriet Dart, who's up on this court next for a bit of mixed action, playing with Joe Salisbury.
And that final mixed doubles match is the big one today, the big three-pointer, so there'll be a lot of attention on that one for sure.
There is Harriet Dart, looking nice and relaxed. Yeah, they're not doing much practicing at the moment, but you know. Oh, we caught you out, Harriet.
Peace to you too. Well, here we go. I'd love to know what Judy Murray said to Katie Boulter at that change of ends. On the brink here. Last service game wasn't too shabby. Let's see what she can do.
Yeah, nicely done. I mean, look, it's a good demonstration of the movement from Raducanu, and that really has been such a neutralising factor for her in this match, because she can move, get behind the Boulter strike so quickly, and then she's got great skill on the ball. The manipulation of the racket is also at a really high level, that she can control the pace back and also sometimes add some of her own. And that is an area that is just looking pretty good out there, and I think Boulter's getting a little frustrated with it. Just can't get her off balance very often. Got to serve like that to do it.
Hold it out.
Oh, Raducanu's calling it long, I think. And Boulter's not really having it at this point. Tell you what, full marks for drama this match.
all.
How often do you see that happen?
Yeah, quite a lot of time between the first and second serve there for Boulter. And you're so used to playing that second serve quite quickly after the first. Can pose a problem.
$15.30.
Right idea to change it up? Attempting the drop shot?
Don't think it's the right time to do that. As I say, it is only a break. I know it feels like she's just on the brink of losing a set with 5-2, but you know, she's serving, it's 15 all. She of course has the weapons to get stuck into a Raducanu service game.
That's more like it.
Yeah, just keep it nice and clinical, nice and simple. Also the drop shot as a variation is pretty tough against Raducanu. She's very quick off the mark.
Gotta say, incredibly clean with her drive volleys, Katie Boulter. It's a shot that a lot of players can get caught out on, needs exactly the right timing, or it's going wide. $40-30. That's a big call.
Taranto leads 5-3, second set.
And Boulter delivering when she needs to. That's just 1 in her last 10 first serves missed, and the one that she missed ended in a double fault. So she's really going for it, and now she's done all that she can. Comes down to the return game. Raducanu serving for it.
A little bit of a disagreement there. Boulter was sure that she had made it.
I'm not touching the only clear ones.
You can understand her frustration based on previous calls, but I did think that I saw a space on that particular shot down the line.
Yeah, and the umpire can't overrule on the far line unless it is clear. It's fair enough.
Second serve.
on the brink here, Boulter. What does she do? Play last gasp tennis or get Raducanu into as many rallies as possible?
No, I think she keeps going with what she's been doing. Everything is fine. It just needs to be tidier. But I think absolutely she has to keep going with what she's doing. I don't want to see her just swing out at this game, because that could just give it over to Raducanu pretty easily with a couple of unforced errors.
Deep and central from Raducanu. Not just taking the angle away from Boulter, but pushing her back in the court. Perfectly executed. 2 points away now. Boulter once again pulls out of it, caught by the pace. And here we are. Double match point for 17-year-old Emma Raducanu. Wow,
what a dig from Boulter. She looked like she was nowhere near that one, but I forgot she's got really long arms. She managed to just get underneath it. I think Raducanu thought it was going to be a very simple finish and possibly just slowed down through the back of the ball.
I have to say we were an inch away there from being done and dusted. Just caught that ball in time, Katie Boulter. One to go.
A missed hit there from Raducanu, and that one drifts into the tram lines.
Yes.
And this is where she can start to overthink. Had 2 match points, quickly disintegrated. And now she might just come to terms with where she's at. You've got to applaud that nerve.
Yeah, and it's not like the drop shot has been a feature of the match for Raducanu. We've seen a couple thrown in there, but on such a big moment to play that so confidently, the best one of the match, Boulter nowhere near it.
Yeah, it was so acute, dropped right next to the net. Third chance. The British Bulldogs are back level, and it's thanks to Emma Raducanu. What an effort from the 17-year-old. Unbelievably, because of Katie Boulter's current ranking, it's not a career best win for her, but it's got to feel like one. What a performance.
Oh, I think that was a tremendous display from Raducanu. I think, you know, we know there are so many elements of her game that are ready and raring to go, and it's just about piecing it together. It comes with experience. I'm sure it would have been helpful having Anne there on the bench as well, but she just rushed Boulter. I wouldn't say she overwhelmed her at all, but she was just suffocating her for pace from the beginning, looking a little bit sharper, a little bit fresher on the ball, and a little bit more match tight. And because she just didn't let off the gas at all through the match, Boulter just couldn't quite get her footing in. She just couldn't quite get something going that she was happy with.
Well, here we go. It's time to hear from Emma Raducanu after a fantastic victory.
Emma, well done. That was a great finish.
Thank you.
What pleased you the most about today?
What pleased me the most was I was probably the underdog going into the match, so I felt like I had nothing to lose, but I also knew that I had what it took to win, and I really backed myself, so I'm really happy that I found a way to come through the match. There were some sticky situations in the second set especially, and yeah, I'm just really glad that I came through and got a win for the Bulldogs.
Take us through the last game. A couple of nervy moments there, but you kept it together well.
Yeah, the volley on top of the net. I had like nightmares about that. No, I knew that I would really regret it. But after it, I didn't panic. I thought that I knew I could win. It was only juice, and it was on my service game, so I really backed myself. I kind of just erased it from my memory.
And how much are you enjoying the first day and the team environment and this unique setup?
Yeah, it's great. I didn't expect this much support, so it's great to be out here with the team. You can really feel it when it's the difficult moments in the match. They really pull you through. So yeah, it's great to be part of a team because it's something that we don't really get to experience much. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, some stunning tennis from Raducanu shows us a lot of what to expect in the future. And here are the final match stats. What stands out to you, Naomi?
Yeah, I mean, she was pretty positive after that match, and I'm not surprised that she is. She did really well. She managed to get that first serve percentage up. You can see it in the end, 56%. It's not far away from where she wants it to be at all, but it did start down very, very low, but she was getting away with it because Boulter just didn't have her range in on those second serve returns. She was struggling off the backhand side, missing quite a lot. The unforced errors were not that different all in all between the two of them, but you can see that as much as Raducanu hit a couple less unforced errors, she hit a few more winners as well on the board, and that does all add up, and it was about when those unforced errors were coming in as well.
Well, a fantastic match, and we're almost done for the day on centre court. Great one to take us into the final match of the day, the mixed doubles between tournament director Jamie Murray and his partner Heather Watson against Jo Salisbury and Harriet Dodd.